Okie dokie.
Oh,
Great.
Ronnie McCorry, I shouldn't be laughing at you, but here on what day are we on? Tuesday, Wednesday.
I know what day it is.
You see, you know what day it is, but we know what link to send out. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd just like to name and shame our beloved founder here, Ronnie McCorry, who decided to send out the link for you all here to Facebook Live to basically the back end. So,
well, it's bonus material.
You did something that came out the back end.
Yeah, we talked a lot about offering exclusivity to your customers, Ronnie, and this is another level of exclusive access.
I love it.
But thank you all so much for joining us this evening. You are watching us, hopefully you're watching us on our Facebook page, on Guitar Weekend's Facebook page, or you're watching us behind the scenes on BeLive.
It's like Panto season, isn't it?
I know.
You wouldn't believe it.
I'm just staying quiet for now. That's fine.
Yeah, don't talk unless.
Carry on. Let's go.
So we're joined obviously by Ronnie, the owner of Guitar Weekends, and the lovely Andrew Moore, one of our amazing tutors. And
hello.
This evening is our second Facebook Live. So we did one of these last month. It proved really successful. And we've brought Andy back for another one pre-Christmas to really talk about, well, one, what you can expect in 2021 from Guitar Weekends, and also a little special Christmas treat. So, right, I'm going to hand over to the lovely Ronnie and Andy, and I will be back to do my thing and cut you down in about 20 minutes.
That's what I love about you. I love
thanks, Natalie.
Ronnie, as if we're not short enough as men. I'm sure I'm only about 5'7".
I feel much shorter now, Andy. Anyway, right, so let's kick off with one thing. This is all about 2021. And Andy, you and I have had this discussion lots of times. We're trying to put the schedule together, and I thought it's worth sharing the insights as to how we plan these things. You know, so for me, I remember talking to you and a couple of the others about it. The learning for me in 2020 was that I'd like to play songs and play stuff, but I actually haven't got the basic techniques and the basic know-how and some of the basic theory. And that's been a leading factor in the way we've started to structure this next year coming up. And also, we've also learned from the online courses that spreading the lessons out to give people about a week of practice in between lessons is good. And really building on the comprehensive materials that we've already provided people as well. And really keeping the whole thing interactive. And so if anybody is actually watching on Facebook at the moment, as opposed to BeLive, just throw some questions in and Natalie will collate them and we'll deal with them. So I think that's been the thrust of it. How do we start to get people to improve properly over the next year if they want?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I mean, if I think, you know, when we first start off with something like this, I mean, the whole world's doing it now, aren't they? And it's trying to find the right approach. And, you know, when you start off, you think we must provide, you know, well, I'm awful for this, 1,000 pages of knowledge. And you go, here you go. And you give all this stuff away. And you know what it comes back to, for me, what I've really enjoyed and learned is actually, it comes down to doing a one-to-one lesson. But you've just got multiple people doing it, where actually, you know, you would never expect a one-to-one student to get it in an hour. They just wouldn't. The basis would be, hey, okay, you're paying for a block of 4 lessons, and over that 4 lessons, we're going to study this, and then the next 4 lessons, you know, and if you've got like a guitar exam, or they've got a performance, their GCSEs, A-levels, or university, or just something to say, you know, who was the chap? I can't remember his name. He played harmonica, used to sing, and he came on one of our performance courses.
Yeah, Jeff.
Now, I remember Jeff coming on that course, and the very first time, I was very honest, in a nice way. But I mean, I told him what he needed to hear, and he took it brilliantly. And he went away, and he contacted me, and he said, "Can I come and have a one-to-one lesson?" And the thing was, by him having that time, which is kind of what I've found the online lessons to be good for, is that he then went away with just nuggets of information to work on. And he focused on those areas. So he learned his chords across the neck. He learned how to sing and play in time. He stopped strumming so hard. There was a lot of resistance in his strumming hand. He wasn't relaxed enough. And then he came on another performance course, and it was like, boom, that difference. So I think what we've kind of learned is, and how we're kind of spreading it between the three teachers, is that there has to be an element, three elements really. One, you have to have technique courses. You have to have courses that are clearly defined in terms of their level. So who is it appropriate for? And we all want to learn songs. Now, everyone's slightly different. I would say I'm a performer. I'm more of a front man. That's why Jamie was the lead guitarist and I was the rhythm player and the singer. So I think we've also kind of decided where the teachers are going, where their focus is going to be.
Correct, yeah.
Mine is probably going to be more towards the performance, which it always was, the rhythm courses and fingerstyle, which is why the first song that I'm doing is Songs to Swing, which can be played either with a plectrum or with your fingers. But the reason we've also chosen that is one of the things I found, I don't know whether you've had this, but when you play songs, because I came from a classical background, the thing that would always bug me is I'd be there and I'd be going, right, I'd just be playing the chord all the time. So it's one of the things I really want to get across to people is, look, a lot of people think it's really hard and I have to learn tons and tons of scales to be able to solo, or I have to learn tons and tons of chords to sound really good. You actually don't. You just need to know 7 diatonic chords, okay? And you need to know a couple of patterns. And then what we can do is, and the very first lesson, I believe, is it the very first lesson that you and I are doing?
Hang on, what I was just going to say, the very first one is something I've called Just Sound Cool, which is the precursor to Sultans of Swing. It's going to look at licks and chords together and then lead into Sultans of Swing.
Exactly. So for instance, I don't know if you've got a guitar on you, but if I said to you, okay, we're in the key of G, and we said we're going to do a 1-6-2-5, okay? Yeah. So we'll be looking at very simple sequences. And the way we'll be doing this on the very first lesson, I mean, I haven't fully written the course yet, but I know in my head what we're doing, is it's actually accessible to a beginner, intermediate. If you're advanced, you probably know it. But, you know, you could be like, right, I'm going to do...
Cool.
How do I get little licks within my phrases, especially if you're somebody who wants to go to an open mic night or you sing by yourself? How can I take my playing and add those little licks in? And the thing is, when I do Songs to Swing, I don't know if anyone's seen my trio band. It's with our other one of our tutors, Tom Fleming, who does a lot of stuff for Trinity. It's a 3-piece. Well, how do you do Songs to Swing as a 3-piece? Well, you know, you've got to do this. But you've got to strum at the same time. So the very first lesson is going to show us how we can do that. And then Songs to Swing, lesson 1, is going to be all about playing the rhythm guitar part, but with all the licks intertwined. So, you know, you've got... go on, Ronnie.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, one thing we always get on the courses, Andy, is everybody expects to nail it completely in the lesson. I mean, we have to dispel that because we've got the materials there. That's what they're for.
Anyone that goes to a lesson and expects to be able to nail it in an hour should not be going to the lesson.
Good.
You should be the teacher. I mean, I know it's kind of brutal honesty, but it's like, you know, if I'm going to go, you know, I'm not going to go to for a guitar lesson. I'm just not going to do that with a player who's similar to me because I can do all of that. But I would go to Jamie McCready and say, could you give me a lesson in jazz, modal harmony and plectrum technique? Because I'm not that type of player, you know. So, and I wouldn't expect, even at my level of being a pro and having a master's, all those kind of things, I wouldn't expect to be able to play what Jamie's told me to play straight off. You know, I would have to take that, and Jamie would be expecting me, even as one of the tutors, to be practicing that stuff for the next month.
But I think that's the nice thing. I think that's the nice thing that we've decided now for next year. Each of the courses, if they have multiple lessons in them, we'll stick a week between them to allow them to practice the stuff that you've given them.
Absolutely. So, I mean, you know, things like when we first started, do you remember we were doing songs in the key of, and let's do 3 songs in 3 days. Yeah. You know, which is absolutely fine when we're on a residential because we're there for the whole weekend and we're like, look, these are the 3 songs we're going to do and these are the reasons we're doing it. But I think spreading it out and giving a little bit more time makes a lot more sense because then we can say, this is why we're practicing it. Because also, I think we're extending some of the lessons on the understanding that we may get the whole song done, but if we do, that's not a problem because then we can look at techniques that will help us develop that further. You know, if you were doing like a great one for like riffs, I think Gary should do it, is All Right Now.
Agreed.
You know, because you can actually play the bass line at the same time underneath the guitar part. So how do you link riffs and chords?
Well, I'll tell you, on that point, let's do the business end of this. Let's go through each of the courses that you're running, and you can tell us what we should aim to get out of that, and if it leads on to another course. So we've just discussed the one about mixing licks and chords. That leads on to Sultans of Swing. I mean, such a cool song. It should be in anybody's repertoire. The one after that, we've got a couple, we've got a couple, which is Get Creative with Chords. So that's all about, you know, what are chords called, substitutions, extensions, use of susses compared to minor 7 flat, all the rest of it. And then we got the prep to Read Rhythm 3. Talk us through those two courses, the creative with chords and prep.
So being creative with chords, I mean, I think the first idea with that course, I mean, I get it all the time when we're running residentials. I find that, you know, you'll put chord names on the board. They say, right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do extended chords. And everyone's like, crikey, what's an extended chord? You know, get out the baton of destiny, you know, here we go. And they kind of freak out. They go, oh, crikey, Andy's off on one and he's talking about theory. And you think, well, actually, no, it's not massively complicated. So, and I remember once we had a great session. I think it was I can't remember the place. It's where you and I had the 2 rooms that are upstairs above.
In Hungerford.
In Hungerford, that's it.
Yeah.
And we went off with a group of the guys and girls and who wanted to know about chord voicings.
So
and we broke it down to the boardroom, where we discussed the finite details of chord theory. And it was just showing how a chord's constructed. What do those names mean? What are the most important ones for me to know that you come across all the time? You know, why do I not often come across a diminished chord?
Yeah.
You know, and when I do, what's its role? So the course will be, first of all, starting off with, you know, some of you may know it, but what do the chord names mean? The second part will be, well, how do I put that into practice? So if you're a piano player, it's much easier. You can physically build those chords on the keyboard. If you're on the guitar, you need to know the cage system. So guys, get the cage system learned, because if you don't know your bar chords, and you might be freaking out and going, oh, blimey, it's really, really hard to play a bar chord. Honestly, it's just down to technique. Bar chords are possible for everyone. And then let's say, obviously, you've got your C. We've got our C in those 5 different positions, okay, which we get from the word cage. If we then said, right, we're going to do all major 7s. Now that just sounds cool, doesn't it? Instead of, you know, we've got that juiciness, okay, and then we add it somewhere else. Well, if we can use those, we can start playing cool songs. So what was one of the best courses we did last year? I think, or one of the best songs, God, it might have been awful. Of course, I don't know. Just the two of us, right? Major 7, dominant 7, minor 7, minor 7, dominant 7. It's just, that's it. It's just shapes.
We've got to be careful here. We're going into teaching mode, right? So,
we are, but the cool thing is, if you understand that, then you get a lot. So that course will show what it's all about, what that is, and how I can spice up my flavors. The second one, Read Rhythm, prep. Okay, the prep for Read Rhythm 3, it's pretty obvious. If you didn't come on lessons 1 and 2, you might think you know everything, and that's fine. If you really do know everything, just ask us to just contact Ronnie and say, can you please send out the form that describes what was in level 1 and level 2? Well, if there's anything in there you can't do, come on it. But I would come on it anyway.
I would as well. And anybody's been on it before, they get a discount on this anyway, because they'll have most of the materials as it is. Just come on for a refresher lesson. I think that's the way to describe it.
Exactly. So it's a refresher, but you know, you're not going to get the entire document for lessons 1 or 2. I'll condense it somewhat, but you'll get a lot of practice examples.
Well, okay. That's enough on that one. Otherwise, we're going to run out of time. So we've got now. We go into March, and then you pulled out the one which is, I think it's a bit of a I Shot the Sheriff. What's so good about that, learning that?
Well, the thing is, we were trying to make sure that whatever technical course we did was followed either 2 weeks or 3 weeks later by a song that used the ideas. So the great thing about I Shot the Sheriff is, one, you got that, which we're going to practice with octaves. But the whole song is dominant, minor 7, minor 7, major 7, minor 7. Cool. So it's going to use those ideas, but we're going to then get to put it into a song format. We're going to do some, be practicing, showing you how you can use your minor pentatonics and major pentatonics to interweave little licks over a backing track. So it won't just be, hey, here's the chords, but we'll be kind of stipulating reggae. You know, so again, we'll be going down that reggae path, a good way to practice it. So we'll be looking at strumming action, chord voicings, the riffs in it, and a little solo.
Okay, but we can rush over the next one, which is actually the Reed Rhythm Level 3 course. That's fine. So that's fairly straightforward.
Yeah, I mean, that's straightforward. Just to say with the Reed Rhythm 3, it won't just be reading rhythm. It'll also be how you write down a rhythm when you hear it.
Yeah,
so there will be an element, and there's a lot of examples that come with that. Some people have had those. I think I did something on a Reed Rhythm course where I showed how to do it and gave some examples out.
Yeah, I remember.
But there's a lot. Following after that, we've got the Art of Funky Strumming.
Cool.
You came up with that.
I know. I'm sorry.
I love that. I haven't seen these titles, ladies and gentlemen. Ronnie McCory at his best.
Apart from getting everybody to log on to Facebook Live.
Exactly. Let me send you the link that Andy needs.
But carry on.
So the Art of Funky Strumming, I think what we're going to do with that one is just take some absolute classic funk riffs. Okay. I wrote a couple of courses last year that we didn't do, which were Prince. But they're brilliant for this type of thing. So we're going to be maybe looking at, the Jackson. It's basically Motown and Prince and just lots of funky stuff. So how to relax this, just how to get the right sound. What pickup should I be using if I'm playing an electric guitar? What's the right kind of element? But it's all about the strumming. I mean, we've just lost one of the Doobie Brothers, so we're going to have to stick Long Train Running in there or something like that. And just how you, I'm kind of off, but how you can get the hammer-ons perfect and really. And using fret muting, so it sounds like a wah pedal. After that, God, we're rushing through these.
We are fingerstyle. Now, to kind of repeat what we've done, Fingerstyle Primer, but this is just one extended lesson. It's not full 3 lessons. It's just going to be...
Yes, what it's doing, I mean, in my mind, and this may change, so please, if you were recording this, don't hold me legally to what I'm saying right now. I would like to focus, because the first Fingerstyle Primer, for those that came on, it was give you as much information as possible, so that you can then practice. And that book, anyone that came on that, if you please, if you can't do that yet, you shouldn't be able to. I mean, that's a year's worth of practice just in those examples. For me, what I quite like to do with the Fingerstyle Primer, this one, is have a focus. And that focus will be, I'm trying to think how I said it. It's time signature. It's finger picking in different time signatures in multiple keys
and styles.
In styles, different styles, different time signatures, different keys. And one of the Christmas giveaways will be teasing you into doing that.
Now we've got 5, isn't it, on the giveaway side of things? Is that right?
5. There may be more. May be more.
Okay.
I've got a couple of things. Do you want me to tell you what those are now, or would you like to hold back and give that at the end?
Well, what's the first one? What's the first one we're going to give them? Can you remember?
The first one is because is it Kevin? I believe was on a course. I
think it was scales, wasn't it?
He wanted to know if I could provide a sheet which had for every single key. All keys, thanks for that, Kev. All keys, the scale. So I've just done a 1 octave scale. I've done them in first position or relatively close to first position.
Yeah.
And every diatonic chord for that key.
Andy, we're going to give these out over, I think, about the 20th of December, over the Christmas period. Obviously, people are going to be in the festive mode. So I'll just send an email out and they can pick them up from free downloads on the website.
Absolutely. So the first one is that. And the reason I would like everyone to get that and start working on it, if you said to me, what should I practice? If you were a beginner or intermediate player or even advanced, if you don't know how the cycle of keys works, okay, because I want to be able to say to you on the first lesson next year, by the way, we're going to do a 1, 4, 5, whatever in any key. Here's the key. You should be able to do that. Okay. So this first giveaway will give you all of that. Now, it doesn't show the chords in every single position. It just shows them in first position. It's your job to learn them in first position first.
Hang on, can I just check? One of the giveaways, are you still planning to give away a snippet of quite a complicated, well, for advanced players in terms of fingerstyle or not?
The second one is finger picking exercises at 3 different levels.
Right.
So
okay.
I think it was 7 pages, and then you said to me, Andy, and I went, okay, fine. So what I did was I took the first key signature, so the key of C, no sharps, no flats, and I just did it in 4/4. And you have a simple 4/4 finger picking pattern for beginners, which is only 8 bars long, but it's just an exercise. Then I do it at intermediate level, and then you get a whole piece at not advanced, but more advanced than the others. So that's a good giveaway.
Natalie's on screen.
Oh, you can't kick us off yet. We're not done.
I think we better start thinking about. Anyway, but what you could do but if people have got any questions or interest in any of this, just go to the website. The details.
Nile Rodgers. Well, that would have to be an obvious one. I think so.
There you go.
Ian is asking about any Nile Rodgers going to be included in those.
I think it would have to be.
I think
if you're talking about the funky, I take it you're talking about the Art of Funky Strumming. I mean, you could go as close to Get Lucky if you wanted. I mean, that's all Nile Rodgers. But yeah, I mean, the really classic one, just to say we should do it and remind me, is Good Times.
Good Times, yeah.
A couple of others, just to say, will probably be, there's a nice looping sequence I'm going to be handing out for one of the Christmas giveaways, which is really good for beginners. Okay, so it's taking just simple shapes and saying, okay, so like E minor, A, D major 7, B minor 7. Funny names for those of you might not know what that means, but when you see the shapes, you're like, oh, yes! Now I should
Well, if you come on Creative Chords, you'll find out.
Nice.
There you go.
So that's a good one. So I've given 4 or 5 different sequences with different shapes. So like a great one, of course, G to C add 9 to D sus4 to A7. You know, so that's a great, putting those together. And then the second page is an actual loop. So if you've got a looper, it shows you how to layer, probably give some general reference sheets away, because I always tell you should have them. And then there's a couple more, something funky. And then...
Andy, it's a good thing. Please, people, as you're doing now, send in suggestions or ideas about what you'd like included in courses. Or what new courses that you can think of. We're always up for suggestions. And we've only put up the first 4 months of next year. So after that, we're planning ahead. So all your ideas are very welcome.
I mean, if you want one final one, I have done, Ronnie. I am rejigging the beautiful fingerstyle arrangement of Silent Night.
Oh yeah.
Because I know you were like, please, can I have a copy of that? So if you're getting a copy, I would be surprised. It's not easy. It's not for beginners. No. But for those of you out there who think I'm awesome, have a go at this.
No, well, I don't think that's what I had to go.
Videos, though. I want Natalie to be getting lots of posts sent back to her saying, check out me playing this version of Silent Night, and that's what we want. We want to see people practicing and playing.
Andy, did you do that with Scout's accent then? Check out.
Sorry,
me.
Was I mocking you?
I don't know.
I think I have every right to mock you.
I think you do. Right. Okay.
Right, Ronnie, Andy, I'm going to have to call it a day on you guys.
Oh my goodness, is that it? Oh no, it's just not long enough, Natalie. It's just not fair. I could stay here all night.
I know.
He can, and he does.
I know. Sadly, I can't though. So.
Okay, that's fine.
Are you still in the office?
You're honest.
Yes.
Oh my God, I'm sorry, darling. Go home.
No, don't be silly. What I was going to say to everybody, and to remind everyone that we have just added some links, some website links into the comments. So you've got the direct link to all the courses in 2021. I've popped a link into the latest blog post that's written about the if you're thinking about learning the guitar, so really straight up for beginners. And I've also loaded the link where the free downloads for Christmas will be able to be found. But of course, as Ronnie said, he will also email that out to people directly. So loads of great stuff coming up over the next few weeks. There's loads of comments coming through now from Ian, from Tony. Thank you so much for popping those in. What I will do is leave either Andy or Ronnie to have a look at those afterwards and come back to you and feed those into the plans for next year. Thank you to everybody who's watched. We've had a great, 20 or so people tune in, whether that's our behind the scenes special view or whether that's been through our Facebook page.
I thought it was a brilliant idea of mine.
Ronnie, I'm never going to let you forget this. Every time Natalie and I are sitting down for a hobnob and a cup of Earl Grey, we're going to go, do you remember the time?
Your knees are going to be knocking if you think I've organised something.
I mean, I've been doing Facebook Live content or live content on social media for 6 years now, and
this is a disparaging comment coming up, isn't it? I can feel it.
You kept me on my toes. You kept me. I've never dealt with this situation before. What do I do?
I think, Ronnie, what she's saying is, Natalie is saying, that's the first time that's ever happened, mate.
Yeah.
Do you think I don't get that? I'm just surviving at the moment.
And everybody who did stay on this little link have really engaged. It's really lovely, actually, to see the
Come and say hello to the world.
So thank you. No. You're really good. Perry is saying thanks, guys.
Hi, Ashley. Hi, Ashley.
This is my little girl.
Hello. Oh, look. Yeah.
So you got to wave. The whole world's watching you.
Hello. Hi.
Ladies and gentlemen, this girl is an awesome singer. You like singing, don't you?
Oh.
Would you like to sing us out with me? Should we sing Silent Night to everyone? You don't want to sing to the world?
Oh, bless.
No.
So Terry and Tony are saying, have a great Christmas and look forward to practicing much more in 2021. And Tony, have a great Christmas. Thanks for helping us through 2020. Look forward to 2021. Ronnie, on that note, I'll leave the last words to you.
Thanks for all the support this year, but 2021 should be a great year for these courses. So just keep an eye out for the newsletters and on the website. Hi, Ashlyn, again. I can see you bigger now. Great.
Ashlyn loves Ronnie, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to say that's why she's waving.
Few people do at the moment. I can see that. But thanks for coming on this Facebook Live. We really do appreciate your support. Okay, and good night for now, and happy wishes for Christmas. And no doubt I'll be in touch just before Christmas about the free downloads. Bye.
Yes. Are you going to say bye to Ronnie, Ashlyn? Do you want to say bye to Ronnie?
No.